That's a little different seat, isn't it? See, today's December 24th, but by the time you guys are hearing these people speak, it's Christmas time. I hope you're having a good Christmas. I hope maybe possibly this brings you something positive to listen to or interesting to listen to if you're by yourself somewhere, can't see your family, can't go somewhere. Well, I'm here with you today, so how's that sound? All right, what do we got? All right. Mark, this is red. This is titled "Your Opinion, Please." Not that means much, but here we go. Hey Steve, hope you're doing well in these crazy times of floods and COVID. I wanted to run something by you that I experienced late November. I really don't know if I'm trying to read too much into this or if some of what happened sounds familiar to you. I was up around the northwest side of Green Mountain off the Bridge River, Maine, out Gold Bridge, on my yearly quest for the monster muley. There's a valley that runs to the south from Bridge River, Maine, and Green Mountain is on your left. Anyways, I hiked into almost the end of that valley, and it turns into what I call Box Canyon, and was planning to sit in glass for a while. When I sat down, Steve, I started getting a bit of a headache that turned pretty bad in a short period of time. I drank some water and was like, what the hell is going on? I then started feeling that butterfly sensation and very anxious and maybe even nervous about where I was and how utterly quiet my surroundings were. You know my background, Steve. I live for the remote wild and hunting. I spend my month a year in northwestern BC for moose and caribou, and I freaking love it. You also know my encounter in Gold Bridge 30 years ago. This experience was like bunch of ducks just landed beside me, now side by sides going by way up on the logging road up there. This experience was like nothing I've ever been through before. I was actually very nervous, but I could not talk my legs into moving and get off the log I was sitting on. The wilderness and the animals don't scare me at all, and I haven't seen or heard anything this day. I just felt very off and nauseous and unable to do what I wanted to do, which is go back to camp. After about a half an hour, the fear feeling passed, but not the headache. I was able to get up and hike out, and it wasn't until about an hour into the hike my headache just went away completely, and I felt totally normal. Do you have any suggestions as to what my body was trying to tell me? I've been checked by my doctor, and I'm totally healthy. Strange thing happened to me. I thought you might have some insight. Take care, man. Stay safe. Darren Clark. Darren. Yeah, I think, what have we got from you so far that everybody else has heard? Was that Sasquatch running down through that basin, and you put the scope on it, and you said it was looking basically right into your frickin' eyeballs through the scope, and you were roared at somewhere else, and I believe you had the nervous feeling pressure not too far from you, Hewlett, right? Quick note too, Darren, maybe once I get the man cave set up, you can swing by the barn, and we'll have you on live video if you want. We can have a bullshit session about what we know, what we've seen, felt, heard, and what we've heard of. I think it'd probably be a pretty interesting conversation for everybody if you're into it. If not, no biggie. All good. What do I think that was? I haven't a clue, but I do know that you have history of a handful of experiences with these damn things, and obviously you're going to think that it's related right off the bat, and so am I. Have I ever had the headache happen? No. I've felt pressure. I've felt what I call pressure that I shouldn't be somewhere, or I just feel absolutely frickin' uncomfortable and I gotta get out of here. I felt that, but I haven't felt sick. I haven't felt a headache myself, but I guarantee now that you just shared this, that somebody who has is gonna hear this and they're gonna write in, or they're gonna comment about it in the comment section below. I put money on it. Do I think they have the ability to give you a headache and make you feel like shit? Absolutely. I have a feeling that if something can inflict absolute fear and terror through your soul without making a sound or looking at you or being in your sight, that pretty well opens up the door for them to be able to do anything that way, that related, right? Anyway, Darren, stay in touch, man. I'll be in touch with you. I got the electrician in there now. He'll be in after Christmas to finish the place up, and then we're going to get that thing rolling. So be safe out there, and keep your eyes peeled, man. You always intentionally go where they are, just like I do. Shit's going to happen. Something else is going to happen. It's just no way it's not going to. All right, what do we got here? Sabe. That's the title. Hi, Steve. My name is Caden. I'm 12 years old. My grandpa and me watch your channel all the time. I want to tell you about my encounter while camping close to Bryan Head, Utah. So one night I was just sitting there in my tent in what looked to be a place where a deer had sat, but a spider fell in my tent and interested me, so I was shining my flashlight at it so I could see it moving around. My rain cover for the tent was off and my flashlight died, so I was going to go to sleep, but I couldn't because I kept hearing footstep-like sounds of people stepping on sticks. The sound happened like every 1 or so minutes, and then I just said, screw it, I'm going to go to bed. I closed my eyes for a while until I heard rustling. So I opened my eyes to see a huge figure standing right outside of my tent, what seemed to be staring right down at me through the top of the tent. It was pitch black, but I could see it because of the reflection of the moon, except for any human-like features. All I saw was the figure. And at my age, all I could think of was hiding under my sleeping bag. But I checked to see if it was just a tree or not, but no tree had any outline even similar to the figure. And I couldn't sleep for about 4 hours after seeing that. Then the next day, I told my gramps what had happened, and that night he said, "You're not sleeping in that damn tent tonight. You'll be sleeping in the camper." My grandpa believes me because he had had his own encounter when he was young. It freaks me out to sleep in a tent from now on. If you read my story, thank you for what you're doing. It will help a lot of people. We need to get the word out there that the Sabe are real and not some made-up fairy tale. All right, man. Caden, word to caution you, you're young, all right? You're young, and one of these things let you see it. And I would almost bet a lot of money that they're going to let you see it again. Maybe not this year or next year, who knows, maybe in a few years, I don't know. But if you've been following this channel, Caden, you know that once somebody's had experience these things once, it's usually going to happen a few more times, all right? So keep that in the back of your mind the next time you want to go lay in a tent somewhere on your own. Possibly not do it, or keep bright lights on the outside of the tent, or trail cameras. Keep somebody in that tent with you if that's the route you want to go. But just keep it in the back of your mind, Caden, that these beings have allowed you to know their presence. All right, why they did that, I haven't a clue. But just be aware that the chances of you having an encounter again are right up there. All right, so just stay on top of that. Keep that note in the back of your mind and be safe. And think about that before you go off by yourself somewhere, all right? Make sure somebody's with you, okay? And be safe. And if you hear of anything else, make sure you get it in. Your grandfather wants something to share that'll help all the people. Get him to share it through you if he wants. Or if not, he can email me directly, or you can email me after he shares with you everything he knows too, all right? Because we all got to stick together. We all got to stick together, and we all got to share each other's knowledge with each other no matter what. No matter how crazy it sounds, we have to share it here with each other, okay, man? So be safe out there and have a Merry Christmas too, all right? If you're by some slim chance listening to this today, on Christmas Day. All right. This is titled Story. Hello, Steve. Background, more for the audience. First, I want to say thanks for what you're doing. You're a truly good man. At 46, I grew up hunting small game, white-tailed deer, and bear in western Pennsylvania. I started hunting with my dad before I was old enough to hunt alone. I've also done many big game hunting trips to Wyoming, Montana, and Maine for deer, both whitetail and blacktail, antelope and elk. My wife and I also spend a large amount of time in the woods hiking, biking, ATV riding, etc. And I've experienced many of the animals of North America and have a fairly good idea of what most of them sound and act like. While I've not spent nearly as much time as you have, it is fair to say that we spend as much time outside as we possibly can. That said, on to my story. We live on a small rural road with woods covering the surrounding properties large enough that until recently, folks were able to hunt deer, rifle and archery. Our neighbor below, as recent as this spring, have had black bears eating from their bird feeders. Lots of deer in the area and several large bucks. Several years back, say 2019, late summer, early fall, about 11 to 12 p.m. while sleeping with the windows open, I woke up to a very loud noise coming from across the street. My wife was already awake and fully alert. When I heard the noise, for the first time after waking up, I asked her, "What the F?" She said that was the third or fourth time she heard it, and she was freaked out. The best way I can describe this sound is that of the blast from a hot air balloon burner and /or the noise of a large industrial diesel air compressor makes when releasing full line pressure all at once to change attachments. This was huge volume of air being released, lasting several seconds. It started across the street and continued about every 10 to 15 seconds as it moved down through the woods between our place and the neighbors. The woods are so dense that only in the winter, and with all the leaves off the trees, can you see their house about 400 yards away. I've estimated that this noise was at its closest 100 yards from our window. The interesting part was that we heard this exact same noise probably another 10 to 12 times as it slowly moved down through the woods unbelievably toward the small town we live just 2 miles north of. We quickly ruled out a hot air balloon since it was hours past sunset. It was also for sure at ground level and not stationary. There was also no chance of equipment in the area /woods. Trying to find a logical explanation, my first thought was that it could have possibly been an injured bear screaming out in pain ever so many steps. That said, the more we have listened to the stories sent to you along with the descriptions, the more I've become convinced that what made these noises was not a black bear. The sheer volume of air and magnitude of the sound was incredible. My wife suggested that I go outside and look. I told her that even with my 7mm mag or 12 gauge filled with buckshot and a good light, there was no way I was going out in the dark to see what made that sound. We are curious if anyone else has heard a noise such as this. Thanks, Steve, for everything you do, and be careful out there. Matt and Gina Schroeder. Matt and Gina, thanks for sounding that in the kind words. You guys be safe, too. And I haven't heard that descriptive yet, but that's definitely an alarming one, right? That's definitely a very weird sound to hear. But anyways, it's been shared. I haven't heard anything like that, so I got nothing I can say about it. Can only speculate, but after all the shit that we've been learning from everybody, who knows? I'll guarantee if somebody else out there, if that description sounds deadly accurate and familiar for you, what you heard, or maybe even saw making that sound, maybe you might want to either write into me about it or share it in the comment section below in this video, all right? So that these people can hear what you got to say. Thanks for sending that in, and be safe, all right? Your tummy says don't go outside to see what made that sound, don't go outside. Don't go against your tummy, your guts. Why? Why me is the title of this one. Man, I say that daily. For all sorts of reasons. Hey Steve, I'd like to thank you for a spot to tell my story and everyone here for sharing your encounters and ideas because it's sure helping me with my puzzle. My encounters with the unknown started when I was very young, but I'll only focus on the most recent, of which is why I'm here now typing this to see if I'm not the only one who experienced this, where I was. Here it goes. Skillet Creek Campground outside Devil's Lake State Park in Wisconsin. It was late May 2020. My younger brother and I were on a 4-day fishing trip and we heard strange things happen. The first happened on our second morning when my brother swears up and down that I was calling his name down by the little pond on the property. I wasn't. As I slept, my brother says he heard someone calling his name in semi-quick intervals. He said he heard it 4 times and thought it was me in the woods messing with him. When I got up, he told me about it, and I told him it was probably a bird, but he didn't buy it. That evening, after a day of getting slammed by smallmouth, we had supper, and I went to clean up our dishes when I heard 2 of the strangest owl hoots of my life. It sounded fake. On the last night of our stay, something really strange happened to me. I was getting ready to head back to our site from the showers when it started. As I began to exit the building, it was as if someone turned on the most intense rain shower ever. I stopped underneath the overhang and decided to give my brother a call at the camp and let him know that I was done, but gonna wait till the rain let up. After hanging up, and a few minutes later, is when it happened. The rain stopped. It didn't taper off, and as I stood under the eave, I heard and felt and saw in the left-hand side of my head a voice tell me, "Go." I can only explain what I saw in my head as a melted piece of doll skin plastic. It looked identical to a piece of so-called UFO plastic I saw in a documentary years ago. It looked like a crazy melted ear. The voice and feeling were of someone telling me, "It's okay, here's your chance to get to the tent while we stop the rain." I took the advice and walked to the tent, looking everywhere for a reason for what I was going through. We were the only ones there that day except for the owner, who was nowhere to be seen. When I got back to the tent and zipped everything up, the rain came down again with a vengeance, but nothing else happened. I hope this finds you well, and you continue to keep gathering the people to let it be heard. Your friend, David Starr. Okay, David, that's a different one, man. I got nothing I can add to that, or tell you. I haven't a frickin' clue. Melted plastic and UFOs, I've never heard of that before in my life, all right? But I'm sure I could if I started digging. So again, once again, hopefully somebody out there maybe can relate to that too, and maybe they'll add to it or comment to you directly in the comment section below this video and see what they got. Who knows, right? That's a frickin' weird one. Definitely a weird one. Wow. Alright, one more. I don't even know how long I've been sitting here, but it's feeling a little chilly right now, actually. I don't know why. I'm sitting in a frozen river surrounded by snow. Alright, what do we got? Hey Steve, I've been following your channel for over a year now and decided it's time to share. It was back in June 2000 when my encounter took place. I was 1 year out of high school, and me and a buddy were driving around the country. It was a hell of a trip. We spent the entire month of June that year just driving and camping our way all over the country. We were somewhere in Oregon. It was a rainy, windy, shitty night. I've been driving for most of the night and decided to just pull off the road and sleep till morning. No point in trying to set up camp in the rain and in the dark off the side of some desolate road. My buddy didn't feel like driving at that point either, so we found a spot and parked not far off the side of the road. Again, we were in the middle of nowhere in Oregon. No GPS, no cell phones. We had an atlas with us that my father used to use as a truck driver. That was how we navigated. Anyway, within minutes we were both passed out. The car we had was his grandmother's 83 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. She'd given him a month or so before our trip. And it had old school dim headlights and crappy wipers. It was a boat of a car, but it was great for long distance cruising. So there we were, passed out in the car in the rain for a good couple hours when all of a sudden the car shakes. We both woke up wondering what the hell shook the car. We figured it was probably a gust of wind since it was such shitty weather. No biggie. Well, less than 5 minutes later, the whole ass end of the car got pushed about 6 feet in one direction. We both spun around and saw nothing out the back window. It was pitch black where we were. I immediately switched the headlights on and started the car. Nothing to be seen. At this point, I'm fully awake and pretty much shitting myself, as was my buddy. The front window was a bit foggy, but for some reason, the side windows were not. I remember this next part like it happened 5 minutes ago. As I looked over at my buddy to tell him we're out of here, I could tell something was next to his window, something huge. I tried to speak, but nothing came out. My buddy was looking at me, and I was staring out his window in shock and fear. I couldn't move. I was frozen. He then turned to see what I was looking at, and at that moment, 2 giant yellow eyes appeared. But they weren't right next to the car. They were a short distance away. We were both frozen stiff. It was at that point the car got rocked again, this time to the side. Well, it was enough for me to snap out of whatever trance I was in. I slammed that car into drive and floored it. I remember almost losing control of the car as we hit the wet road. I'm pretty sure my buddy pissed himself. I was shaking so bad, I had a hard time steering. I drove until daybreak without taking my eyes off the road. After that night, we cut our trip short. We both knew what we saw. From what we can figure, that thing was crouched down, staring at us, with its hands still on top of the car. And after it knew we both could see its eyes, it gave the car one last shove just to F with us. Needless to say, we did not camp another night. We stayed in hotels the next few nights until we got home to Connecticut. Until this day, I do not camp in remote areas. Whatever that thing was made it very clear we were not welcome. Until now, I've not told anyone about what happened that night 20 years ago, not even my wife. My friend has also told no one. We speak of it on occasion to each other, but all we really say is, remember that night? Not much else is needed. The way that thing shoved the car around and those yellow eyes were absolutely terrifying. It's not something you can forget. Thanks again, Steve, for allowing me to send you this email. Thank you for your time and all you're doing. Feels good to talk about my encounter, even if it's to people I've never met. Take care. Merry Christmas, John. Merry Christmas to you. That was last year. Oh. Wait a minute, did you send that to me again, maybe? I've read this. I know I've read this because I remember the last time I read it, I made a funny comment about you guys going on tour chasing chicks around the country for that trip, right? But anyway, when I have them again like that, it means they've been sent and emailed to me more than once, and that's how they got in there twice. But regardless, that's an interesting share, and it also displays somebody sharing it for the first time, which other people need to hear that, all right? There's around 7,000 or 8,000 new subscribers here just in the last 3 weeks, so I'm guarantee you there's a shit pile of people that haven't heard that one yet, and now they've heard it. I know people firsthand that have had those things looking in the car at them, and it was basically the exact same thing. One person sees it, freaks out, the other person sees their face, looks over, and boom, right there in their face, right? Nothing to be envied. Anyway, that wraps that one up. It's Christmas Day today while you're hearing this. It's time to eat something. Eat some turkey or ham or whatever's going on in the kitchen. And if you don't have any of that going on in the kitchen, well, at least you got everybody here. And keep your head up. Be positive. Be safe. If you know somebody that needs a little nudge or a piece of pie or a plate of turkey, go find them right now. And you go make sure you go give it to them. Make sure they feel like they count, all right? Now, get off this rock now that my legs are frozen stiff. Thank God I don't have any leaks in these things. See you guys later. Be safe. Merry Christmas.